Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade today giving you my walkthrough Welkins Reach, one of the realms that you'll encounter as part of the story realms in Nightingale. Nightingale's latest update realms rebuilt has really offered some significant changes and improvements to just pretty much every part of the game. And that's really shown off in particular these storied realms, where you've got much more info and pretty much interesting quests, as well as definitely more interesting boss fights. If you find this video useful, go and check out the rest of my Nightingale content and catch me live, and let's go. So the progression of getting to Welkins Reach obviously isn't that hard. Once you've completed the previous realm, Sylvian's Cradle, you then have access to go and travel to this one at the Crossways. Do look out as soon as you spawn in though for a obviously rune puzzle, activate all three, and you get access to a nice little rune bundle to set you up. There's a couple of levels to this observatory. You don't have to do what I did, which was jump on a launch pad and go through the ceiling. There is some stairs. Honestly, it's not that hard to find. This is probably one of the easiest ones, but it's important to note that the observatories are important, as that's where we're going to hopefully unlock a special force field that is blocking our way from the actual well, the Welkins Reach well. And effectively, that's our main quest. We have to gain access to a blocked off area by going and exploring one of the nearby observatories. But there's also a couple of side quests that are pretty interesting too. So we'll talk about that in a second. But if you do happen to fall down, bearing in mind this has got extra gravity, so you still will need to make sure you got your umbrella out just before the last minute, but you should be able to jump a bit higher and actually take a bit more damage from certain jumps or falls. Don't panic, I accidentally fell down, but there will be some jump pads that will get you back up in the air, and it's pretty obvious you're meant to go over to the airship. Here you'll talk to the NPCs and gain obviously the beats of the story, but again, make sure you go and explore properly and take advantage of getting all these tier 2 bundles. Here are Ram Chowdhury here has got the details. Effectively, we need to gain access to the blocked off part of the well, take on Sherlock, the story boss in this realm, but there are two ways to do it. The pretty much kill it route, or another way. You can make sacrifices at 3 different altars on the map, some ichor, some meat and some bones, and it should mean that you can maybe either take advantage of a boss fight a little bit easier, or certainly avoid it altogether. I didn't actually manage to complete it the peaceful route, so I will be showing you how to take it on fully. But it's definitely worth exploring some parts of this map. There are obviously lots of codex parts and again more bundles. If you look directly below you at the airship, you'll come across the ruins of maybe a crashed one. These are important for completion of one of the side quests. Look for any codexes around any of these crashed airships. You definitely come across a much tougher bound than you might have faced in the previous realms. I am playing on champion difficulty, so I think it might seem a bit tougher than it actually is. And of course lots of scorpions and maybe other bugs. If you do pay attention to the map, it will show you pretty much everything you need to know in terms of the caves and vaults and places we need to go. One thing you do got to avoid though is this. This is the force field I've been talking about. If you step foot in it, you will die, and you'll have to hope that your NPC might be able to pick you up in time. Anyway, let's concentrate on the actual other observatory. It's just past, obviously, the windmill. Do look out, because there are some of the areas where that force field was killing you and making it no-go zones in certain parts where you have to kind of use your umbrella to get around. You'll notice the blocked doorways. Well, you're meant to go and complete 3 agility tests, and this is a way that you should be able to then go ahead and unlock these doors. But why would you do that when you can simply just launch yourself on a launch pad and fly in through the roof like I showed you earlier? If you just run around the outside, eventually you'll come across the launch pad, and then just make sure you hover all the way over to the open part of the observatory. You can absolutely go and do the agility quests as well. I think that's how it works. I thought this was bugged. I even raised it as an issue in Discord, not realising it was actually one of the quests that you had to do if you wanted to gain access through the doors. But otherwise you really don't need to. When you're in here, you will find some more story and beats, and 3 of these red, obviously, blockers. We need to make these blue to open up the pass key so we can get through the barrier. It's multi-leveled, and this one is obviously another simple activate the runes in the right order. With the one toppled over, that's the one you're going to shoot first. Then to the right of it here, shoot this one second, and then the third one on the pillar closest. And there you go, another pod. Next floor down, you may encounter more bounds, and like I said, this is where things get tougher. I had the snipers after me and the guys with the double swords. and the usual hearts that you have to destroy. You might want to make sure you're running through each level first and see if you can take out any of these that might be spawning, as I did consistently keep getting more bound spawn as I missed one for a while. Obviously blocking is really important facing the guys with 2 swords. The snipers are relatively easy as long as you get up close to them. And again, look out for more story elements with the echoes. So next floor down, another echo pod and another 3 rune statues to shoot in order or hit. Take care of the wall one on the right hand side first, and then if you've got a good enough range weapon, you can just about shoot the one down the bottom on the right, then the one on your left on this little cliff, the one on the scaffolding, and then another one at the very bottom just by the pillar. You'll start unlocking the Surdy Taliesin sort of notes, and this will be a new NPC that you can meet back at the Crossways hub where you've met the first NPCs that give you story. And if you get any more bound spawn, then obviously take care of them. There are a few little kind of mine ways to go and explore with some more extra loot. And don't forget your actual pod. That's pretty much it. There's just one floor left down below, which simply has a fast travel point back up to the mid floor. Remember, the goal is to unblock the 3 red blockers at the top floor. Now that you've gone and solved all of the rune puzzles, then you can go up and activate this. This is the pass that's going to get you through the barrier. Again, I thought this was bugged because I swear I died when I tried attempting it afterwards, but no. It was simply a case of these doors not opening because I hadn't actually completed the agility challenge. So you can just head out the way that you came in. Now if you pay attention to the map, you can find the different altars. The torn altar with the symbol, and there's 3 of them on the map. You also come across the flags that indicate a crash airship site. And I'm going to talk through these briefly as well. Obviously these give you a good chance to stock up on more pods, and you get more story beats by finding all of the echoes. So I think it's worth doing, even if they are a bit further apart, some of them, to go and travel to. You do get to have a bit more fun in the desert bouncing around on the pads, and I definitely recommend don't change the actual cards. That's what I did, and it made gliding a bit tougher. All of the islands that you'll see in this part of the map will also have lots of extra loot lying around on the altars, or just more kind of points of interest going complete. The altars themselves, this is the second quest, not the same as the airship. These are what you're looking for, and you just simply offer exactly what they want. Like I said, this one was the meat, and what we're meant to be doing here is allowing the boss we'll face later to basically have a spiritual realm to maybe travel to, if I read it right with the lore. He's basically been trapped here by the Fae, or left here, and that's why he's so angry and we have to go and kill it. But there is a way that if you deliver all 3 of these actual altars, you will maybe be able to not have to kill it. I think that's the case anyway. I actually did this part of it through the preview just before it went live for everyone, and then I finished it off afterwards taking on the boss. So I never got to see the peaceful route completely, but I'm guessing that's what it is, since there are another bunch of peaceful routes in the game for some of the later bosses. So it might be well worth going to find all 3 of the altar stones and basically deliver what it needs. There are a few other things to note. There's plenty of caves around with lots of resources, and this Guaferna, which is obviously a more rare mini boss. You'll get some fabled kiting, and it's in a cave just by the actual force field for the well. Just quickly showing the locations of some of the other altars. Another one you'll find, again, you can look at these up on the map with the map icon. It does look a bit like a flame, and this one was where I went and gave the Ica. And the third and final one is actually inside a vault. It'll be marked on your map towards the north. So this is worth doing, as you can go through the vault and through the bastion. Before that though, another rune puzzle to solve and another pod. And again, there will be lots of bound down here as well. We're giving you more opportunities to pick up. So make sure you explore every nook and cranny of this area before you activate the teleportal and find the last actual offering stone. This one will want the bones. And that should be it. I think if you actually keep progressing and get to the final boss, Shelek, it might, like I said, hopefully give you a more peaceful or easier ride. As always, get ready for the bound that can appear whenever you act one of these mini portals and go through and take part in whatever challenge it might be. I'm pretty sure they're all the same on story maps, but you never know, they might be slightly procedurally generated, as these could often be different depending on what realm you spun up yourself. As you can see, Welkins Reach is a level 30 realm. In terms of gear, I didn't really have that much special, just a few refined pieces and obviously used better resources as I came across them. The one that I had to deal with here was pretty much a tower defense one where you click the button and just have to defeat waves of enemies. These are mostly good for picking up lots of spare resources, and if you're lucky, lots of ammo from the golden chests or caskets. And if you looted the major chest just before the portal and the one that you find at the end of this, then you'll get more glamour tokens and synchronous lotuses as well. So we're pretty much done, other than exploring the last of the air crash ships. You can go ahead and venture into the well itself. Now I was a bit tired and got pretty frustrated with some of the jumping elements of this realm, mainly because I think my stamina was running out or I simply just wasn't jumping at the right times, but it is a cool little addition. They really have fleshed out a lot of the realms and made them just so much more interesting, especially to complete these story ones. And as said, I had used the realm transmuter changing the realm, so I wasn't getting as much jumping distance as I was before. But activate the jump pads and you should be able to get some more bundles. There's plenty of golden caskets and smaller loot crates to go and get stuff from. What we really need to do is turn off another barrier at the very bottom, which will again kill us in one hit if we fall into it without deactivating it. So you may need to go ahead and shoot certain things in order, but once you've got this pod here, it'll open up some of these floating and moving platforms that you can jump across, and then we're going to be taking care of more of the hearts, the corrupted ones. This is a giant space. You can run around this whole almost circle, and there's a couple of levels where you'll encounter lots of bound and again lots of corrupted hearts, so it's worth doing anyway just to go and check and see if there's any more loot. When you're ready, you go ahead and shoot the first of the rune little statues, and then you'll go through this doorway and hopefully be able to jump across to the next batch or have enough of a distance to go ahead and shoot it. Obviously if you've got a rifle at this point, it might be a bit easier. Don't make the mistake I did, like falling to my death. After a lot of mucking around and getting back up, let's try that again. This time shoot from the middle. You may need to go and activate the actual pads that are inside or just below some of these rune statues to make sure the gates are actually open. Yeah, so I ended up doing this just to be absolutely sure. Activating the second one. Third one is pretty tough to spot. It's actually below the big dial here where you've got maybe one of the original pods. So make sure you shoot that here. And you'd have done it, hopefully with a lot less stress than I had, and the doorway at the bottom will open. So do not go into the big bottomless pit at the bottom, very bottom at least, just yet. And you will notice there is actually a fast travel point, a lodestar, just nearby too, in case anything does go wrong. So this is Antonia, that's who Chowdhury wanted you to go and find. They'll pretty much refuse to leave, even though there's a ton of bound just behind the magical gateway. Now I thought this was tied to the crash site side quest, but I don't think it is. So don't panic if you didn't go exploring the rest of the map. So if you haven't bothered with the altars to give either the bones, the meat or the blood, then you will have to go through the portal, take care of the bound and the other heart that's on the other side. Again, I was playing on champion mode, so I'm making this look a lot easier than it was. I died about 2 or 3 times as these guys are pretty tough. I did in fact warp back home, got myself some better gear and some more health potions before coming back. As you might guess, there is another lodestone, and this is going to take you to the Sherlock bus fight. What we're dealing with here is a giant bug, and you're going to have to basically get it on its back so you can either shoot or attack its crystal, which is its vulnerable part of its body, on its underside. Worth noting that the ore that you can see scattered around and part of these pillars is something you can actually gather and utilise as a resource for crafting too. You might want to make sure you get a lot of it. It will periodically spawn or after you've done some damage. What you need Sherlock to do is charge at some of the pillars that you've built or some of the ones that are still standing, and then she'll basically knock herself out and then you can attack a weak spot. You're meant to use the jump pads that are littered around to jump up using your umbrella and shoot it as you're landing. Now, I was being a bit dense, and like I said, I was a bit tired after playing a good amount of hours of getting to this stage, so it took me a hot minute to actually work out exactly what I should be doing. But I got there in the end. You'll see her pretty much flap her wings and come charging at you, and you just got to make sure you're behind one of the pillars. And then as said, what you're meant to do is use the jump pads to get up a really good height and then be able to use and get her underside. Or you can do what I did, which was just wail on her with your melee weapon and hopefully get a few lucky hits in. Yep, I totally missed how you should be completing this boss fight and just use the good old hit it until it bleeds. Obviously not the best way. I was doing lots of hits that were just not registering and were completely immune, with only a couple maybe just about hitting the actual heart. So in between her flying around, you obviously see some of the mining deposits you have to mine, or if she's just gone over stuff, you can actually pick up some of the rubble from a pillar and then just simply go ahead and repair the pillars. Again, on champion mode, she does do a fair amount of damage. And this stuff, yeah, you can actually use for crafting. I'm not too sure if there's other corrupted stones that you'll be able to pick up from certain realms maybe. It's not something that's incredibly OP. I'm pretty sure there's other stones that do exactly the same job. But it might look interesting. I'm going to work on more on some of the stones and see what kind of weapons and what kind of gear they actually give in terms of stats and looks. So another time on its back and another time of me just praying and hoping I actually got a hit in this time. Learn from what I shouldn't have done to make your life a bit easier. I promise you, you will be able to do a lot of damage with a just simple pistol, or maybe even being allowed to land on it and hit some hits in rather than doing what I was. But once it's defeated, then obviously you're pretty much done and you've unlocked the next set of realms, the Magwitch Marshes. The next realm will be a tier 3 realm, so you'll be able to unlock excellent workbenches and much more. It is a significant jump up in difficulty on the next realm, so I would definitely say make sure you go back and utilise getting lots of good resources ready, that as soon as you can get your excellent workbench after running around a little bit maybe on the next realm, you can go and make some much better gear. Before I go though, just a few little things to note. I think some of this was maybe a little bit still bugged. My second playthrough of this map, I never bothered with the altar stones because the quest never really popped up for me. Not like in preview. So if you've not got anything in your side quest bar that tells you to go and mess around and give the altars, then don't panic too much. I don't know if it's designed by choice or maybe it is a bug, but basically I got given all the rewards for the side quests even though I hadn't gone and completed them. So maybe it's just because I took care of the boss, so it just gave me the same rewards as if I chose the peaceful option. I'm not sure. But it's worth noting, like I said, you should get rewards, but you will lose out on some of the side quests. One I honestly don't remember doing, but I ended up getting a reward for it, was the Emperor's Folly, which I'm guessing was go and find the portal on the map that was being built. And you can clearly see from the other quests like the Lost Crew, this was go and find the crashed airships, as well as that final one, Maori, just before you go in to face the boss fight. Well, yep, I got the rewards for this, even though I hadn't actually bothered with some of the other stuff. And last things to note, what are the stats of some of the resources that you get? The Shellac boss fight is going to give you increased melee damage, as well as help out with maximum weight, so maybe good for something like a backpack, with the meat also offering similar stats. And you'll find the special trees as well as fibre in the form of cinder for the fibre and burwood for the wood. Burwood should be level 2, tier 2, so it's going to give you stamina regeneration of 1 and magic power of 4, and the cinder strands will be tier 2, they'll be maximum stamina. And of course don't forget, which is something that's maybe not made obvious, you can get better versions of a lot of the same resources as you progress through harder realms. You will find tier 3 cinder fibre and tier 3 burwood that will give increase on the same stats. And again, if you explore various little cliff faces, you'll find plenty of normal tier 2 desert resources, but particularly in the caves, lots of amber as well as coal and maybe some iron if you've got enough of a pickaxe score to go ahead and mine it. Just look out though, as it will be guarded by a slew of scorpions. Like I said, you might come across some of the fabled ones, but don't forget to use your spell to trap them if you're having difficulty. And there we go folks, that's how I completed Welkins. Well, hopefully it's been a bit of a help for you. I do think that sometimes if it's not triggering certain things with them altar stones, you may be worried it's a real big part of the actual story, or simply wondering how or why you've got it as a completed quest even though you didn't do it. Hopefully that will be fixed in the future, or just made more obvious that it will auto-complete if you go and kill the boss. I've been a bit slow in getting some of these guides out. It's been a couple of weeks since the launch. I've just simply been too busy with lots of other games and lots of real life stuff, but I'm hoping to catch up a little bit, so expect to see more guides, including on the Magwitch Marshes as well as the other story realms in Nightingale. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll catch you later.